And what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Creators Corner, where we give you a glimpse behind the magical content. My name's Anthony, and today we have one of my favorite vloggers on, and it's taken a while to get here, but we got here. It is the writer, reporter, and content specialist for all ears. It is Emma. What is going on?
Hi, how's it going? I'm so excited to finally get to do this.
I know we've been talking for months about it, so we
Yeah.
nailed a date down, and I'm so glad that we were able to sit down with you and chat, especially what we're going to chat about first, because my first question is always, before we
Mhm.
get into the Disney talk, what other interests do you have?
I'm pretty straightforward. Like Disney has been my main interest pretty much my whole life. I obviously love reading, and just like family time. Like that is what encompasses my life right now. Spending time with family and reading and journaling. Like
Yeah.
it's really straightforward. I tell everyone I'm really boring outside of Disney World, but maybe not boring, just content.
Listen, that's what I like, to come home, chill, watch my vlogs, play my video games, do my
Yeah.
content, and then that's good. So we do have a common interest that we've chatted about, and it is the legend herself, Taylor Swift. So
Yes.
I've held off on all Taylor Swift talk on Creators Corner, waiting for you because I know that
Thank
you are a
you.
Swiftie. Um,
I'm an OG Swiftie. The first time I ever went to see Taylor was for the Fearless tour. So
wow.
I've been with Miss Swift for a while.
She used to vacation. There's a place called Stone Harbor, right where I grew up. That's where we used to go out at night. She used to vacation there when she was like 14 and 15, like when she was like first coming up. And
Hmm.
my sister's like a diehard Swiftie. I'm kind of new to the game. Like I'm starting to
Yeah.
understand it now, right? But it was just crazy because she's from Pennsylvania, so a lot of people from PA
Yeah.
will travel down to the Jersey Shore to vacation. So let's get into the first question. It's not Disney related. Top five Taylor Swift songs, or you could say favorite five.
That's always changing, truthfully. Like it depends on the day. Right now, the ones I'm listening to the most, I'm still on Cruel Summer. That's
Mm-hmm.
always going to be in the top for me. I love, I love Karma.
Yeah,
Karma's so good. I listen to Enchanted all the time.
love Enchanted.
I'm trying to, Enchanted's so
Yeah.
good. Now That We Don't Talk has been in my rotation for a long time. And then probably Style. And this is like a random compilation of things, but it's what's in the rotation right now.
So my emo
So,
heart, because I'm an emo guy at heart, I love Cornelia
mhm.
Street live, the live
Oh,
version.
the
I
live version's always better.
obviously All Too Well,
Ugh. The
Exile.
10-minute version or this short version?
The 10-minute version's grown on me. I have ADD, so the 10-minute
Fair.
version, I'm
You get a little lost.
can I just like hurry up and get to the parts? But it's growing on me. But Exile, I like
Mhm.
Delicate, which is not emo at all. And then her new album
But
was great.
Delicate's a good one. The new album was really good. I always tell everyone, like, I love Taylor, but Sad Taylor has to grow on
Yeah.
me.
Oh,
And
really?
Tortured Poet, so it's very, because I'm really impacted by the music I listen to.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if I listen to the sad music, it really, like, impacts the rest of my day, so I don't let myself listen to it a lot. So I'm still getting into Tortured Poets, but I absolutely love it.
It was very weird on the first listen because I'm like, this is a different Taylor album. I was like, I don't know if I like
Mhm.
it too much. Like there's songs, and then you listen to it like the fourth listen, you're like, all right, this is like a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy because she is just changing her music so much. But I'm a Speak Now guy. Speak Now is my favorite because it's her princess album, pretty much. It's
Yeah.
like everything you could put any one of those songs in a Disney movie, and it would just fit.
It fits always. I love Speak Now. I actually got to see that tour too. It was just me and my mom, and it's, like, one of the strongest memories of my childhood. Like, watching her do, like, Haunted, for some reason that lives in my brain. I just it's so good.
Yeah,
So
I have
good.
never got to see her live. My sister went to the Eras tour, I think, like 3 nights in a row when they were in Philly. Yeah, and I was like, I don't want to spend whatever my sister spent on a ticket. And then I was
Mhm.
watching videos. I should have went one night. I should have spent one night on a ticket.
I was gonna say I went to Nashville with my friends, and they were troopers because I was actually at work the day that tickets dropped, and they all had, like, calling out, and they didn't go to work that day, and they got the tickets, and I was like, "Okay, just let me know, like, whatever I need to Venmo you," and
Yeah.
for some reason, I didn't ask any questions. I was like, "I know the date, I know that I'm going. Okay, you just tell me when," and so we got there, and we kept walking down, and I was like, "Are these our seats?" And they were like, "No." We kept walking down, and I was like, "Are these our seats?" And they were like, "No." And we finally got to the floor, and we were right next to the stage, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," like, I started freaking out, and why did I not ask any questions? I don't know, but it was an exciting
That's a
surprise.
great surprise. That was like last summer or 2 summers ago. Me and my wife are big Ed Sheeran fans. We love Ed.
Mhm,
So he's like, all right, I'm playing the Link in Philadelphia. So I'm a diehard Eagles fan. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe
mhm.
we'll go. I was like, the tickets are so expensive. Like, we'll check back. For some reason, I checked back like the week before, and they had like standing on the field. So not only am I
Mhm.
on the field for where the Eagles play, which is like a dream, Ed Sheeran's
Yeah.
like 5 people away from me, and they were like $100, and I'm like,
Oh, that's awesome.
how did we manage that? You know.
That's really cool.
But that's amazing. Like I'm big on music. That's like probably my other interest outside of Disney is like music. And
Mhm.
I'm like not big on TV. Like honestly, all ears and like Morrow, and that's our television. We get home and we have our reality shows that we watch. We just got done watching Real Housewives, but
I have to know what reality. I'm big into reality TV.
we watch Real Housewives in New Jersey. We
Mhm.
watch Vanderpump Rules.
I'm on Vanderpump right now. I'm on my rewatch,
Yeah, I
so
just jumped in like 2 seasons ago again. Like I
mhm.
remember watching it when my wife and I started dating like 16 years ago. It was probably like 14 years ago when the show came on. And I think we watched like the first season, and I was like, I'm not watching this. Like I can't watch a bunch
Yeah.
of rich people. And then I started watching it, and then the whole scandal happened, and then I'm like, I'm in it now. You know?
The scandal is what got me into it, and so when that happened, I, like, went and rewatched the whole show, and then I got caught up on this latest season. I was like, "Gosh, I missed the OG." So I started, like, rewatching it again.
Yeah, I want to go
Yeah.
rewatch a certain like couple shows. Like I want to go rewatch Game of Thrones. That was like our favorite show
Mhm.
ever. Because I need to do it with a clear head because the last season like kind of ruined everything for me. But did it, or did
Mhm.
I just were my expectations too high? So now I got to go back and rewatch it and make sure that I'm not overreacting.
I loved Game of Thrones. I That was one I had not watched, and then I guess the month before season 8 came out, I was like, "I'm interested in this." And so I, like, binged all of it, and then I finished it the night season 8 started,
Wow.
and so I felt particularly hurt. I was like, "I gave up a month of my life," like, that's all I did, and then I hated the ending, but then my husband had never seen any of it. He didn't know anything about it somehow, and last year we watched all of it again, and I still didn't love the ending, but I was like, "Okay, whatever,
Yeah.
I'll give you this."
It's still such a good show. I always say it's the best show
It's
ever
so
until the
good.
final season. Like
I totally agree.
it was so good. But enough of the I could talk about Game of Thrones and Taylor Swift all day, but
I know.
let's talk Disney. So the first question's very simple. When did you become a fan of Disney?
I come by it honest. I was raised in it. My mom has always been the Disney mom. Like when you think about the planners, she's absolutely top tier at that. And then she got it from my grandmother, and they started coming in, I think, 1971 or two. So we've been with Disney World for a long time, and I just don't know a time before it, to be honest.
See, I'm very jealous of that because I mean, I went when I was younger. We didn't really
Mhm.
fall in love with it until we took my niece when she was 4. We did like a family trip, and then obviously we took our oldest. And the first time you see your kids see the castle, and it's the same feeling as
Mhm.
our youngest daughter, it just changes your whole perspective of it. But then
Yeah.
you start watching vlogs, like COVID, the world shuts down. We start watching vlogs. We didn't know about any of the lounges. We didn't know that they had so
Mhm.
many good restaurants. So then we're like, we need to go without the kids, like to see what it's like.
Yeah.
Different experiences, but we love each one of them.
Yeah. It is different. It's like there's almost a secret world of Disney that until you're in it, you're unaware of it even
Hmm.
existing, and I think that that's a good example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you start going to Disney when you're young. Did you ever envision
Mhm.
yourself working for Disney or doing like a content for Disney, or was this just kind of like, this is my happy place, I just want to go there?
I had always hoped that I would work for Disney. So I did a DCP, I guess 5 years ago now, and I was like, "This is my building block." Like, I even in high school, I was taking college level classes so that way I could go to college and come in as a sophomore so I could do a DCP and still graduate. Like,
Wow.
I had planned out all of this stuff, and I absolutely loved it. I don't know if I just got really lucky or what, but it was the best experience. And so when I moved back down, I've been in Florida for a little over 2 years now. And when I moved back, initially I had moved back for another DCP. I was like, I'll just do this and then I'll go through the company, like I'll work my way up. But we were huge fans of, Disney Food Blog and All Ears and all that. And my mom kept sending me applications. I was like, okay, like maybe who, whatever. And so I finally submitted one, not really paying attention to it. And I was like, they'll reject me. It'll be fine. I'm still doing my DCP. And then they called me back, and within like 2.5 weeks, I like started reporting and writing. So it
Wow.
happened really fast, but I never anticipated like the content side of things. I never ever anticipated.
Yeah, that's a crazy story that you just like, and your mom, like, what a mom. That's awesome. Like, here,
I know.
apply. That's amazing. What did you do at DCP?
For my first, or I guess my only one, for the first half of it, I did food and beverage, but I got like the best spots in the world. It was still the Boardwalk Bakery in
Mm-hmm.
Ample Hills. I don't know if you ever got to do any of that before it closed, and
Did not.
now it's the deli now. Ample Hills was like a special place in the world. If anyone knows it, it was so good. But so I got those two spots, and then I would work at the pizza window and I would rotate through those three. And then I loved it so much, I decided to extend for like the summer section. And I ended up moving over to Hollywood Studios and I did Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster merchandise, which
Oh,
was
that's
also
awesome.
amazing. They were the best jobs. Like, I don't know if it was just the people I got really lucky or what, but I had the best experiences. So it was really cool.
I think we had a friend do DCP, and I think she ended up in like the Christmas store in Disney Springs. But I'm still like, yeah,
Hmm.
that's amazing. Like,
You just gotta go.
you just
Yeah,
go to work in Disney World. It's that you can't be in a bad mood. Did you
I
ever?
totally agree.
So you get all ears, right? All ears goes, hey, you're starting for us. Did you envision
Mhm.
yourself doing that kind of content? Like, what did you think? Like, were you just gonna write? Were you just gonna be like? Did you have like a clear plan or?
I honestly, so I don't have it as thick now. I still have my accent, especially on some words, but when I first moved, my accent was very thick. So I had seen, YouTube presenter in the section of the application, but I told myself, I was like, well, they'll hear my voice and then they won't want me on camera, but that's fine because I can do the other stuff. Like, I love to write, I love to take photos, like video, I can do all of that. And then I won't really have to like worry about the rest. And so I didn't really pay attention to it much. And then the first day, I guess I had been here for a little while. And they were like, hey, we're interested in expanding our YouTube cast. Why don't you come down and you can film with us? And I still just didn't, I didn't ask any
Yeah.
questions. Apparently, that's like a thing I do. And I was like, okay. And in my head, I thought I was going to film them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought I was gonna act as, like, production, and so in my first video, we get there and immediately Quincy was like, "Alright, tell go start talking." And I was like, "What?" She was like, "Yeah, you got this, like, we just wanna see how it goes, like, no pressure, we can do this 1,000 times, like, if you're nervous." And I was like, "Okay," and that video is still on the channel.
Yeah.
Like, I guess it went okay because they put it up. But yeah, that I don't know that I ever even when I was walking into doing it, I still did not anticipate that they would want me on camera for some reason.
How nervous were you?
Oh, my hands are shaking.
Yeah.
It's still to this day, I'm not super confident on camera. It's something that I've definitely had to learn.
I don't
I'm
believe that now.
naturally
I don't believe it now.
Thank you. I'm naturally very introverted, so I've learned how to be like, "It's fine." Like, and team anxiety is a very real
Yeah, I
thing
was gonna
for
bring that
me.
up. Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, it's like it works out well because I connect with people so easily on it, and it is so authentic to my experiences. But honestly, until about a year ago, I would hit record and my hands would be, like, shaking, but
Really?
it's all worked out. Yeah.
So let's talk about team anxiety. Have you seen Inside Out 2 yet?
I haven't. We were supposed to see it this weekend, and I haven't yet, but I have the out of all the movies, I have to see this
It's
one.
like, so my daughter's 10 and she's growing up into changing now. Her emotions are changing. And as someone who
Mhm.
has anxiety and seeing how they describe it to kids, it is legit. Like, I was like, wow, this
Really?
is such a smart movie to do for, preteen kids that are going to be going through these changes. And, because it is true when you're young, you have joy, you have sadness, you know, and you have anger. That's really like what you
Mhm.
have. And then anxiety comes in, jealousy comes in, like all that. So it was just beautifully done. So you should definitely check that out.
I
Um,
have to go see it.
Another thing, you said your accents were too heavy.
Mhm.
You use so many accents. Where do they? Is this just something that like? Is it like a nervous thing, or is it just something that you just do subconsciously?
My friends and I have always done like, I can't take the credit for any of it. My friends and I have always done it growing up. I'm from Tennessee, if anyone doesn't know
Mm-hmm.
that already. So the Southern accent was just it was a forefront. But I don't know, I was a One Direction kid. So I think that's where, like, you start with British, like, the little YouTube influencers, like, people you would watch, and then now, like, I have shows that I'll, like, hyperfixate on.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, one of them right now is Dairy Girls, and they're very Irish, and I love to just, like, copy, and I think doing it on camera, it's almost like a it is like a bit for myself, like, it makes
Yeah.
me laugh, and it
Yeah.
makes me more comfortable because it's something easy to fall into, and it is almost like a protective, like, "Well, this I can make this silly just by doing this one thing," you know? So
Yeah.
I love doing
A
them.
couple of vlogs ago when you would have to stop talking every time you did an accent, and you literally just got off the 2 minutes and you hit an accent right away. I was like, oh my. But it was so fun to watch. So it does add a lot
Thank
to the
you.
vlogs.
Thank you. It made me giggle because our editor had messaged me and he was like, "This is such a funny bit. Like, I really like this one." And I finally was like, "Chris, this isn't a bit. Like, I was really doing this. Like, this was not a joke." And he goes, "Respectfully, I could tell it wasn't a joke." But he was like, "I liked it, all the same." So I'm glad it translated well.
Yeah, it does. It came across amazing, and it was super fun. We were cracking up watching. So you said you're from Tennessee, so you're out of state. Then you go to
Mhm,
DCP, and now you move to Orlando for all ears. Does the
mhm.
magic feel the same when you're actually living there from being, not from there?
Yeah. This is something, people ask about a lot, actually. For me, it is different now. So when I did my DCP, you have your one spot that you go to, and for me, I was kind of lucky that it was outside of the parks for a
Mm-hmm.
majority of it. Because then going to the parks was still like, "Oh, I never get to come here. It's outside of work." And for me now, doing all ears where we have the privilege to go to the parks all the time. I'm everywhere all the time. Today I got to go to Epcot and Animal Kingdom. It feels different, but in a really positive way. So growing up, we tried to come like every 3 to 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time we would get back, it was like, oh my gosh, like everything is so different. And you like your chest hurts, like you miss it so bad. And it's so exciting. But now I think my excitement comes from seeing those people who haven't been there in 3 years turn the corner and they start crying
Yeah,
because they're having those feelings, or like watching Phantasmic and watching
the best.
kids and their parents just like hug each other. Like I still cry every time I watch Phantasmic because
Mm-hmm.
it's Phantasmic, but then also because I'm not so focused on my trip or what I want to do, I get to see other people's experiences, which is something I never really honed into. And now it's really special to get to see that, like, every single day, I'm next to someone who's making a lifelong memory,
Yeah.
and I think that that's really special.
That's amazing. And yeah, it's true. Every time we just stayed at the Polynesian and we would be on the beach and watch Happily Ever After, and I swear I would almost tear up because like you're making like
Yeah.
I'm watching my kids play in the sand, watching Happily Ever After at like the resort we never thought we'd be able to stay at. And it's like it's just those
Yeah.
memories. And then you do like when we go on our content trips when it's just Nicole and I without the kids, sometimes you do
Mhm.
take a step back and you go, "Wow, look at look how cute this moment is." Like you notice the
Yeah.
moments, because when we were going every 2 to 3 years. Now we go 7 or 8 times a year. It allows you to,
Mhm.
oh, that ride's down. Who cares? It's still on Main Street. Like,
Yeah, it gives you a freedom to relax a little, which I never knew I cared about because it's still so exciting to go, go, go. But now being here for over 2 years, there's, like, stuff I've never even done, I didn't even know to do, and it's relaxing almost.
yeah, that's definitely one of the best parts is just to sit back and take it in. Like, there's stuff that you don't even notice when you're in Disney World that's happening around you. Just every little detail that when you're not go go go, you sit back and you're like, wow, this is actual magic, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So over the past couple years, there was a huge roster change for all ears. And
Mhm.
the team really came together. As I talked to Quincy and Breed Love, how the team came together and pushed forward, and it just seems like the team is just such a cohesive unit. After that change, you pretty much became one of the faces of the brand. You were in a lot of videos and still are in most of the majority of the videos. So, what was that process like where they're like, okay, now you're stepping up and doing all of the videos?
Yeah. It was really different. I think for a majority of the first like I said, the first year, there were a lot of nerves because the I had so much respect and I was in awe of the content that had been made, and it just you wanna live up to that and keep doing such good things. So I was really nervous that first year especially, um, but it happened, like, they gave me the opportunity and I thought, "Are you sure you want me to do this?" And I kept telling myself almost like an imposter syndrome
Mhm.
kind of situation, like, "Well, I'll do this for a while and, they'll kinda realize it's not gonna work out, and that's fine, and I can keep, writing and reporting things that I really love." And then they just kept letting me film, and they kept letting me film, and I was like, "Okay, like, are you really sure you wanna keep doing this?" But, with all of the amazing things you get to do, I'm never gonna argue. I'm never gonna say, like, "I don't know that you want me to do this."
Yeah.
And then that day never really came, and so I think for me, it felt like this big impossible task, and I was like, "I'm just gonna keep doing it until it doesn't work out," and then it keeps working out somehow,
Yeah.
which has been really
And
exciting.
obviously, as fans of all ears, we saw the progression, and it's amazing to see
Mhm.
how much you were always good, right? You always had the it factor, and I always say that it's very hard in content. There's a million content creators out there that have something that captures the audience, and you had it, but you just saw you get more and more comfortable, and then the accents came in, and then you're showing you, and it's not as like okay, you kind of just let yourself be more free and be yourself, and I guess that's comes with the time. But you've always had that, and it's just been awesome to watch it develop to now what it is. Where you said that you get nervous, I don't think you're nervous at all anymore. I think you're a natural.
I will say, I think I honestly owe a lot of credit to the people who support all ears, which might sound a little wonky, but anybody would be nervous in that situation. But when you constantly have a group of people being like, "Hey, you're doing a good job," that is so
Yeah.
validating and it just kind of makes you want to keep doing it. So the fact that we have such a really cool community, I was like, do we have a name? We don't really have a name for each other.
Yeah.
But I think the community being so supportive was a huge help in that.
It's definitely an awesome community, and I've seen it firsthand with the comments, all the nice comments we get on all the videos when I interview you guys. But I kind of know it because I'm a fan, and I know how what we like, and how every person I've talked to from all years, how genuine they've been. We actually just got to meet Breed Love in
Yeah.
person on our last trip. We met up and
Oh,
talked for like 20, 30 minutes. Nicest dude in the
he's
world. Like it's
he's
just
the best.
genuine, right? And that is
Mhm.
lost in today's content is genuine people, and I feel like the whole All Ears team, from Quincy giving us our first interview, legit shot in the dark,
Mhm.
almost like how you applied, right? I said I have an idea,
Yeah,
and we're going. Like if we're doing this, I'm going for like All Ears, and
yeah, that's
and
awesome.
Quincy answered. So, but you guys have been so gracious, and watching the fan interactions and how you're bringing fans into videos now. You let the 10-year-olds plan a day. You have people
Mhm.
have to say the secret phrase. That is bringing the magic even closer because now everyone's in the park and they're like, I wonder if all ears is here.
Yeah, that's been my favorite part, especially as that's kind of developed and we've started bringing people in that way. I know, like, even when the cameras are off and we all go home and we're, like, talking on the monorail, that's we all agree that's our favorite part.
Hmm.
Like, seeing people that care about what you do, there's nothing more rewarding in the world, and the fact that we're kind of doing it together now, it just feels like a big group that we've all held hands and, like, hoped for the best, and it's just really supportive, and I'm glad that they're excited with us, you
Yeah.
know?
So we're filming now. Now you're on the camera. You're like, okay, you're not working the camera, but you are because you're working the camera on yourself. Now you are a content specialist, right?
Mhm.
How did you feel? Because I know this was the big thing with a lot of creators. How did you feel with people looking at you while you're recording? Because I know that was the little hurdle I had to get over personally, and everyone has said it's awkward at first.
Yeah, it definitely is, like, for me, when I started, I just had my phone, and we have DJIs now, which we really love,
I just got
um,
one.
but I really love it, I
It's
couldn't
still
speak
in the
more
box. It
highly.
literally just came yesterday.
They're
I'm like,
I love them so much. They're just so we can do DJI talk later, but they're good. I love you guys. But it felt like this is gonna sound a little weird, but the transition from a phone to a DJI almost made me feel I was like, "Okay, I feel more legit now." And, like, that was a weird mental hurdle that
mhm,
helped me a little bit. But I think that's also it's just something that comes with time. Like, in certain situations, I still don't love I think that's the only nerves I really do still have is, like, filming myself because there's obviously a culture and some people are really into it and some people really aren't. So adjusting to that was strange, but that luckily has 90% of that has faded. But it's hard. You just
yeah.
have to like tell yourself like just you want to be here, you want to do this, let that part of you go and it'll be fine. You know.
Yeah, it's always awkward when you're filming yourself, and then some people say stuff when you're walking by, and like we had someone like where we were filming a couple weeks ago, and someone's like, "Content creators, YouTube," and like they're yelling it, and my wife's like, "Ah, now I lost my train of thought." I'm like, who cares? It's
I
whatever,
know.
like whatever. They're
It's just different though.
Yeah, it's different, but guess what? I always say Disney World is the park where you see cameras the most. So
Oh my gosh.
everybody is like we were in line for It's a Small World, and like 5 of the 8 people behind us were all vlogging or TikToking or Instagramming. So
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I made like just family videos, not vlogs, like
mhm,
literally just videos of my family when they would come for the DCP, and that never bothered me. So it was funny to see how this one had just like impacted me a little bit more. But I also think when I go back and look at them, almost all of it is just my family. Like I'm never really in it
yeah.
because I'm filming them. So I think that that was the difference for me was like putting myself on camera. That was an interesting part for me to overcome.
I always ask this question for all years because I did not know how crazy your shooting schedule was until Quincy came on and explained how many videos and how many multiple videos are shot in a course of 24 hours. Her
Mhm.
big thing was her social battery, how she maintains it. How do you deal with, a long recording day? I know a couple weeks ago, Capture the Flag happened. It was like 3 or 4 straight days of filming with the whole crew. How do you like go, okay, I've got to get back up and do this and get back up and do this and keep your social battery like charged to be able to be in front of a camera?
I think so for weeks like that, we call that like a mega week. So we filmed Capture the Flag, Survivor, and the Olympics all within like 4 days. And that one, it's a little bit easier because the whole crew is in and we don't always get to see everybody. Like DFB Millie came for the first time and
Mm-hmm.
Bria from DFB, RJ flew in. Like those are people I never really get to see. So it was almost easier because it's like, well, I want to be with those people. So like, yeah, let's go
Yeah.
run around, like let's go have a good time. Um, but when we do our heavier weeks that aren't necessarily like considered a mega week, that's when I come home and I turn on like Vanderpump Rules. And my husband's very understanding, but I don't always speak. Like we'll get home at
Yeah.
5 or 6 or whenever we finish, and that's pretty much it for my day. But just being able to kind of find those things that I love, like reading or even like my trash TV, as I call it, like
Trash TV up.
those things, yeah, those things really help me kind of recoup. because Quincy, I doubt she said this verbatim, but she and I are really good friends. I'm really good friends with Sage and Breedlove as well. And Fry too, she wasn't on my mind because she's not physically here in Orlando. But those of us in Orlando are so close
Hmm.
that it doesn't feel as taxing.
Yeah.
Like that's not something that I have to struggle with as much until about Friday.
Yeah.
And then by Friday, I'm like, okay, I'm gabbed out. Like I tell them all the time, I'm like, y'all know I love to gab. I don't know if that's like the Southern woman in me or what, but it's something that by Friday, I'm like, I just want to watch TV and I want to read a book and I don't want to speak again. And then by Monday, I'm ready to start gabbing.
Yeah. You guys don't do much park content on the weekends because of the crowds, correct?
Yeah, we also are really lucky that this does operate, kind of like we are a company, so
Hmm.
it operates more on that schedule. So for the most part, we get like the traditional Monday to Friday schedule. It just depends on anything exciting. We're always like, no, we'll go
Yeah.
anytime they need us. But for the most part, we do get Monday to Friday.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, because we saw Breedlove on a Saturday actually because he was reporting
Hmm.
on something in Cosmic Rays. So that's when we met up with him. But
Hmm.
yeah, I never really see content creators on the weekend, and if they're there, they're not vlogging. They're just enjoying the park, which I always was like, wow, that's pretty cool that you guys still go there and enjoy it without even having a camera on. So we talked about the
Yeah.
wide variety of Disney videos that you guys make. Um, what are your favorites?
I love anytime we get to do anything, this is so privileged of me to say, but anytime we travel,
Yes.
that is always going to be something for me that I just can't believe I get to do. When we just did Tokyo last month, and it was just like shedding tears all the time because it's like, I can't believe never in my life when I applied for this job, even did I think I would get to do this or get to be here. So those are obviously my favorite for that kind of reason, just because it's like I'm so in awe of it. But our daily stuff, I love the food videos.
Hmm.
Like I've been signed up to the Disney Food Blog newsletter since I made my first email at 14. Like that was my thing. I would make Google spreadsheets with my cousin and we would write what snacks we wanted, where they were, and how much they were.
Oh,
And
that's
so we
awesome.
knew how much we were spending. Like I've always been that type A Disney planner, but I'd say anytime we do like the complete food tours or the new restaurant
Hmm.
reviews, that's like a personal favorite for mine because it's like this is so cool. Like I can't believe I get to do this. So I love those.
So we have our first listener question. It's from Nathan, and he said, "Oh my God, I call her Queen Emma because she wins most of the games." His question is, "How often are you in Disney when you're not filming, and what other types of things do you like to do?" We kind of covered what you do when you're not filming, but do you ever go to Disney when you're not filming? I just touched on it. Do you go on a random Saturday? Let's go to Disney Springs. Let's.
I go to Disney Springs. My husband and I find ourselves at Disney Springs a lot. I think because I don't get to film as much content there, I'm always like, "There's a new restaurant, or
Yeah.
whatever." So I don't go as often as I would hope, honestly. But because my husband doesn't get to go when I'm filming, so we
Yeah.
like to go. And then my family, of course, none of them live here, so they're down every few months, every 2-3 months. So I'm always with them. Any day that they're in the park, I'll meet them after work. We'll go on the weekends. But it really, most of the time, it's someone else asking me like, "Hey, do you want to go?" Because I get to do the things I want to do every day, so I don't feel the drive as much as a solo individual going,
Yeah.
just because I'm like, well, I get to do what I want to. So anytime they want to do stuff, I'm always gung ho to go though.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine going to the park after being there like 14, 15 hours every single day. Big Saturday, I need a little rest and relaxation away from the crowds. But I
Yeah.
mean, it is Disney World, so I probably would end up still going because, like you said, the snacks. Like we're big on the food, we're big on the
Yeah.
lounges, we're big on the restaurants. Like that's what our interest is in Disney. We love the rides, but there's so much more
Mhm.
than the rides. Like we just
Oh my
checked out
gosh. Yeah.
the Enchanted Rose for the first time, and I'm like a huge Beauty and the
Mhm.
Beast fan. So
Mhm.
I was like, this is like the greatest lounge ever. Like it was
I love it.
unreal. And I never even would have known of it if it wasn't for vlogs. It's not something that
Yeah.
they don't advertise that at Disney World. They're advertising the castle, the rides, Tron, all that kind of stuff. And then they have
Mhm.
these great restaurants and great lounges that you can go check out. So we've seen you take a bunch of content trips. You just said Tokyo, which was we were sitting there with our jaw dropped when you guys were, the frozen animatronics in Arendelle and the Rapunzel ride, all that. It was and the sculptures in the rocks. Like we could not believe what
Okay.
we were seeing. But you also just got to check out um, Lookout Key. So you're doing it by
Mhm.
land, by sea. You're going all over the place, and you get to go to Paris very soon. Um,
Yes.
what has been your favorite experience across the pond or in the water or
Mhm.
whatever?
Tokyo will be almost unbeatable, to be
Hmm.
honest. I mean, that was such a rare experience. Tokyo has always been a place that I've always wanted to go, but in the back of my mind, I was like, "Oh, I'll probably never get to go." So that will be almost unbeatable. But one that I have a lot of love for, and I really like I look back at that video and I think, "Wow," was the first time we ever did cross country
Hmm.
just to go to Disneyland. That one was so special because I actually grew up going to Disneyland more than I did Disney World, because I had an uncle who lived, in California, and so we would go see him and, "Well, while we're here, we'll go to Disneyland." And so but I had not been, I don't think since I was, like, 10. I was little, I
Hmm.
was younger, so I had these, like, really faint memories of what it was like and what I wanted to do, and getting to go and do it with Quincy, who it was her first time ever going to Disneyland, was just a really special experience, and I think that was one it'll be like a pinnacle moment for me. I think the whole time that I'm with all ears and for the rest of my life, I'll
Yeah.
look back at that one with a lot of love.
Yeah, we've never got to experience Disneyland. It's definitely on our radar. What's it like
Mhm.
walking into that's Walt's Park? You walk in and it's like
Yeah.
he was on this street, he was on that bench, he did this train. Like, what was that? Is that just a whole nostalgia feel? Like, do you feel it when you walk in?
I think you do, and I one thing I tell a lot of people is, like, part of the reason I love Disney so much, outside of just how it makes you feel when you're there, is the fact that it got built at all. Like, I love the history, I'm really fascinated with Walt's direct involvement because, like, it never should have been made.
Hmm.
If you go back and look at, how much they spent on this brand new idea and people investing in it, it's crazy that it ever was built and that it created the legacy that it created. And so when I go to Disneyland, I think every single time, it doesn't matter how many times we go, I'm like, "I can't believe this is here and this is
Yeah.
his," and, like, I love to read books about him. I've watched the Imagineering story an embarrassing amount of
Hmm.
times. It just feels different, and I know a lot of people, if you're at Disney World or you go and you're like, "Well, it's really small, there's not as much." But if you're into Disney and history and Walt himself, it's like, it's cozy.
Yeah.
It's what you want it to be. It feels very personal, and I think that was it. I'll always feel that way every time you go. It just feels different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone's like the castle's small. I'm like, it was also like the first castle they built. So yes,
I know.
it's probably going to be a
It's
little
gonna
bit
be a little small.
smaller. They didn't know the grand scale of things, but
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely want to go there, and I want to try the buffalo turkey leg because I'm a turkey leg guy. Unfortunately, for everyone listening,
Unfortunately.
because everyone's skeeved out by
RJ
that.
gave me I go through phases with turkey leg. I'll give you the turkey leg love. But RJ gave me the best tip ever, and he said he has friends that will bring Hawaiian rolls, like the sweet Hawaiian rolls, into the parks, and then they'll get one turkey leg and they'll make little turkey sandwiches, and that actually changed the game for me. I highly recommend that
That
to
is a
anybody
game
who tries
changer.
one.
That is
It's a good little budget tip too. If you're
yeah.
trying to feed a bunch of people, just make a bunch of sliders.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Usually the backpacks fill with Uncrustables.
Yeah. No, I love me an Uncrustable, but RJ blew my mind when he told me that one.
Yes, you see people just have them all laid out and they're just cutting the chicken or turkey off. Yeah,
Yep.
because that's my big knock on it. Is like I love it, but it's just so disgusting to eat. Like your hands get
Yep.
sticky and you're like, oh, now I have to go to the bathroom, wash my hands for like 20 minutes.
That's why I say I go through waves because I love the first few bites, and then I'll get about halfway through and I'm like, "Ugh,
What am I doing?
I actually think I'm really grossed out." Yeah. So I have to go through waves with it.
So as you have developed as a personality on all ears, and we've seen you on camera more, we've seen a bigger Instagram focus for you too, and that comes with our next question from Felicia. What originally inspired all ears style?
This was something we all had kind of been chatting about. honestly, for a little while, well before it ever launched, actually, Breedlove was one of the first people who was like, "This could be a really fun idea," because it was a lot of comments we would get that were like, "Well, where'd you get this?"
Hmm.
And I know that I have a big passion for those Disney outfits. Like, before I lived down here, my friends and I would spend months planning our outfits and getting on Etsy and, looking for the best things and like curating what we thought our best Disney look would be. So that was a really exciting prospect for me. And when they decided, like, yeah, let's move forward with it, like, Emma, do you want to do it? I was really excited because it's like a little passion. It's like a little passion project. And I know there's a lot of people who can relate over,
Yeah.
you want your family photos to look good. You want to feel confident in those like lifelong memories that you're making. And Disney World can be a really tough place physically. So if I can help somebody find something they really like that they're not going to like overheat in,
Yeah.
I'm really excited to do that.
Breedlove gave you a lot of credit when we were talked about it on our interview, where he's like, "You've done amazing." And I asked him, I'm like, "Where do you get your classic fits from? Because like they're awesome. Like, where did you get it?" And he's like, "Well, Emma sends me them." I'm like, "Okay, that makes sense."
He's
So
so sweet. He puts his own I have to give him credit there. He puts his own spin on everything. And that's one thing I really like about style is we do have such different types of people that we can show a lot of different stuff.
So with the style being what it is in Disney, I know my wife loves ears, but she finds them a little bit uncomfortable at times. Do you think though the ears are like the essential to the Disney outfit, to the Disney style?
I think it is essential for photos. I'm somebody like I want them for the outfit. I want to have a good time when I'm taking my pictures, but I've gotten to the point where they do not last all day.
Yeah.
So you don't have to, but I do think it's like that cherry on top.
Yeah, I wanted to do something where I like created like hats, and I have one. It's a gray one, and I made with like a slipper on it for Cinderella, like
Mhm.
almost princess hats, but like baseball style for guys. Where it's
Yeah.
like, because I'm like a fitted hat wearer, like I like wearing snapbacks, I like wearing hats, and there's some great companies out there. But like, I'm like,
Mhm.
I want to wear like a. What if I want to wear like a Rapunzel one, and you have a lantern on it, or
Yeah.
like a Belle one with a rose on it, and you make it look like a baseball hat, like a baseball team hat.
Yeah.
I was like,
Love
that'd be
that.
amazing.
I love that kind of stuff. I'm very much into trucker hats right now.
Yeah.
There's one that I put some like a little Velcro sticker on, and I found these really cute princess iron patches. And so I've just been like rotating them in and out, which I've really liked.
Yeah, the only problem with hats in Disney is it gets hot. It gets really hot. So do you have any
Mhm.
tips and tricks for we're going July 31st to August 4th. That's our next trip. It is the heat of the summer. What are
Mhm.
you live there? What are your tips to anyone who's traveling, cuz it is a popular time cuz the kids are not in school, to families or just people going to Disney World during the summer?
Mhm. One of my biggest tips that seems self-explanatory, but if you've not been to Disney in a while or you're not really thinking about it, is you just need to know your limits. You wanna go all day, you wanna, maximize, you paid a lot of money to be there, you really wanna spend all day in the parks, but sometimes you're just not physically able to do that in the summer in particular. Coke does not count as water, Gatorade does not count as water, you know, always being aware of, like, taking snack breaks, having your water, and it's stuff that you're like, "Okay, is that really a tip?" It is because so many people don't think about it when you're running around and you've been on Space Mountain 3 times and then you're feeling woozy.
Mhm.
It's like, "Well, how much have you had water today?" And most of the time, unfortunately, the answer is no.
No.
So taking those breaks and watching the shows that you're like, "I don't like Hall of Presidents," that's okay. Go sit in a 25-minute Hall of Presidents, you know, even if you wanna just sit in the back row and close your eyes, just take care of your body. There's only so many products that you can buy that if neck fans are gonna make a huge difference, cooling fans are gonna
Mhm.
make a huge difference, but at the end of the day, you can cover your body in a cooling fan, and
Yeah.
it's not gonna help if you don't have water and if you're not, like, giving yourself that grace. Because a lot of people are not walking 30,000 steps a day in their normal life. So not only are you doing that which is not really normal to you, you're doing it and it's 102 outside,
Yep.
it's gonna be an adjustment. So just give yourself some grace. Slow
I
down a little.
Last August we went for Food and Wine. It was our first vlog, and I actually like over drank water, which I didn't think was
Really.
possible. Like I drank too much water to the point that I was like, we went on Guardians and I was like rattled
Well,
afterwards. We're like, we have to go to Riviera and get like a coffee and an energy drink and sit in air conditioner for like 2 hours before I can go back out. I like,
that's
yeah,
hilarious. At least you were taking it one way. I'll
yeah.
give you the credit there.
I went way extreme on that.
Yeah.
I went way extreme on it. So you do have Paris coming up as you won a competition to go there. How excited are you for Disneyland Paris? You've never been, right?
I have never been. I'm so excited for Disneyland Paris. That's one of those that just it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Obviously, all of Disney and all of the parks are fantastical. That one just truly looks like a storybook. I'm so excited, and I have had some people say, "Oh, you did Tokyo, and Tokyo's better than Paris. Like, I don't know if you're still gonna like it." I don't have that not a fear at all.
It's
Like, I'm not
Paris.
concerned. It's Paris. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So I can't even picture what it's gonna be like. I'm trying my best to bring some friends along with me, so we'll see if I succeed in that
Yes,
challenge,
that's been a
but
couple of challenges.
yeah, I'm really, really pumped. I think just to, I don't know, be in a storybook.
What ride are you looking forward to the most?
That one's really hard. I love their version of Haunted Mansion. I'm really fascinated with it. But weirdly, the thing that I'm like focused on is the walkthrough attraction
Hmm.
with the dragon underneath the
Underneath the
castle.
castle. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like pretty scary for like Disney like to
Yeah.
put in there for kids, right? Like I think that's just
I
that
think
the
that's why I'm
fear
so
meter is like
excited.
a little bit higher than usual for Disney. Like
Yeah.
Haunted Mansion's not really scary. Like, you know what I mean? But a dragon in a basement, probably kids probably don't like that too much, but it is super
Yeah.
cool.
And that's why I think I'm so excited to see it is there's a lot of things that I'm like, I can't believe you did that.
Hmm.
And that was one of those that I was like, I can't believe that you guys agreed to do that. So I'm excited to see that in person.
So let's go back to Tokyo. What's your favorite ride in the Tokyo park?
I mean, I can't believe I'm gonna say this. I don't know why I didn't think it would be this, but now that it's open, for sure, the Frozen attraction in
Yes.
Fantasy Springs. I think that's probably the most incredible ride Disney's ever created. I was just in awe of it. We got to ride it 3 times when
Wow.
all was said and done, and Quincy and I have a rule when we're doing something new, if we have the chance, which we don't always have the chance, but if we can ride something twice, we'll get a good video for YouTube, then we'll get social, and on the 3rd time, we'll let ourselves just, like, put the camera down and really enjoy it, and we cried every single time,
Yeah.
and we were just like, "This is incredible," but that one was really amazing, and then Journey to the Center of the Earth
Yeah.
was really, really cool.
I was super hyped about a Rapunzel ride. I feel like she's like one of the princesses that doesn't get enough of like, now Tiana has a ride and,
Mhm.
obviously Ariel's huge. I'm like, what about Rapunzel? And then they made this beautiful ride with the lantern scene. I was like, through the television, I looked at my wife, I'm like, we need to go to Tokyo. Not only do they have the
Yeah,
Beauty and the Beast ride, which looks
so amazing.
unbelievable, but that whole
Yeah.
park, I think, looks amazing. So let's talk a little bit about rumors, right? Disney saying there might be a fifth park. Obviously, they're putting like 18 billion in the next 20 years in Orlando. So people are like fifth park, Magic Kingdom expansion. If you had to guess, if you were like a betting person, what would you say is going beyond Big Thunder? Do you think we're going to get our
Oh
own Fantasy
gosh.
Springs?
I honestly, I have no idea. That is one thing that I never Quincy and I talk about this a lot because
Mhm.
she's so creative and she has
Yeah.
so many ideas. She's always, like, spitballing what she thinks things could be, and Sage and Breedlove are really the same way. But I'm so just like, "I'll take it as it comes." I just we'll see what happens. I have no idea
Yeah.
what will
Do you have
be
a
back
do you
there
have a
beyond
wish?
Big
Do you have a
Thunder,
certain
but
certain
yeah, I would die for some Fantasy Springs love,
yeah.
and I'm starting the petition now for a Pixie Hollow land. I don't necessarily know that it will happen, but that would be my, like, if I could manifest or wish for anything, I would want that somewhere in Disney World.
So obviously you're in the parks a lot. Probably Magic Kingdom the most. That's a lot where like a lot of the Game Master Challenge are. So do you remember your first time you're walking around Magic Kingdom, let's say, and someone said, "Oh my God, you're Emma from All Ears"? Do you remember your first interaction like that?
I do. It was crazy because I was reporting, and when I would report, it'd be very, like, slick back, no makeup, like, very just I rolled out of bed and I'm here to report. And the first time ever someone noticed me, I, like, looked probably disgusting. And I just remember being so embarrassed, like, of all the days that I didn't get ready. But I remember faintly they were from the South.
Mhm.
I can't remember if they were from Tennessee or not, but they were so nice. And they were like, "Oh, yeah, we've seen you, like, we love all ears." And I just remember, like, my hands shaking, and I probably said something really weird, like, "Oh, I'm a big fan of all ears," or something. Like, I just didn't I
Me
remember
too.
not really I really love it. I don't really remember saying much, but I remember in that moment just being like, "Oh, I probably smell bad." And I looked at and I was like, "They
Team
probably are like, 'That
anxiety.
girl is gross.'"
Yep.
Yes,
Team
team anxiety
anxiety.
for sure.
That's hilarious. So, do you still get anxious in the crowds at Disney, being like having a little bit of anxiety? Do you get nervous sometimes? Is it ever too crowded where you're like, all right, I got to get out of here?
There's definitely moments where it is too crowded for me, and I'm really lucky that a lot of my anxiety isn't based in crowds. It's not too bad in that area. But there especially in the summertime, in Magic Kingdom specifically, I will have moments of like, "Okay, I need to go watch PhilharMagic or, like,
Mhm.
a Hall of President," something to get out of here. But I'm really lucky. It's almost like Tower of Terror for me. Like, it was something that did kind of bother me, but then once you do it so much, you just eventually you kinda let that go. You know what to expect, you know exactly what's gonna happen. So I'm lucky to have that just constant, what I'm trying to think of the word, like, constant re-experiencing of
Yeah.
things, so I'm used to it now.
The fun fact is, I just rode Tower of Terror for the first time 2 weeks ago because
What did you think?
it wasn't like I was shaking because I do not
Yeah.
like the free fall. Like I can go on
Mhm.
Guardians, I can go on Everest because like but it's just going down like this. I don't know. My
Mhm.
body can't handle it. And my wife's like, let's do it because we were going to go to the pass holder lounge in Epcot, but it didn't open till 12. And it's like
Mhm.
10 o'clock. Remy was down, and like, we're like, what are we going to vlog? And I was like, well, let's do something for Patreon. Let's go ride Tower of Terror. And she's like, you're going to ride Tower of Terror? I'm like, did I say that? And then she was like, no, we're doing it. And she was holding me. Like, the photo is so funny. She's holding my arm, and I'm like, but it wasn't that. Now that I know what it is, I think I'll be a lot. It's the fear of the unknown.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, once I knew and for me, I had to learn every drop sequence. And what I was like, "Now that I know this is the worst one and it goes on for X amount of minutes, this one's really short," like, that for me was like, "Okay, now there's nothing unexpected. I
Mhm.
know exactly what's gonna happen. I'm cool with that." But when I would come as a kid, my mom and my brother would go ride it, and they would be very sweet, and my dad would be very sweet, and he would sit with me outside of the bathrooms at
Mhm.
Tower, and he would get me ice cream from Scoops. And I just remember that so vividly because I could not do it.
Yeah.
I hated it so much. So that was one thing I've been very proud of myself. I was like, I can do power now. But it's like a learning curve
Yeah,
for sure.
it's like I was like, how far? Like as soon as I got off, I googled how far did I just drop? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because my head, I was like, I was falling for hours.
Yeah,
It was
it
only
feels that way.
like 3 seconds. I was like,
Yep.
I fell 140 feet, and it took 60 minutes. No, I
Yeah.
it literally legit like I had chills when I was on the ride. The ride's gorgeous. Like it's super cool.
Good.
Shorter than I thought it would be, which is
Mhm.
fine with me. How anxious I was. I was like, "Wow, it's over. We're good. We're not going back
Yeah.
up." But you also got to ride another ride that is opening next week at this time. Probably yeah, when this comes out, probably next week. You got to ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure. What was it like?
I was so excited. I can't believe I'm saying this. I was so excited to go on that water ride. I am
Yep,
typically not
I
a
do not
water
like
ride
them.
person, but Tiana is absolutely she's been one of my favorites since she debuted in 2009. I absolutely love that film. That's one of my comfort movies. I have 2 Disney comfort movies, and if I'm ever going through, like, a hard time or just a really stressful time, Hercules and Tiana, and occasionally the live action Cinderella.
Mhm.
Those 3 will be on loop all the time. So getting to see her finally getting her flowers
I
in
love
the
it.
parks was very, very exciting. And I actually really loved the animatronics were amazing.
Yeah, they looked
They
great.
were very similar to which they've been seen now, but very similar to the Frozen ones in Tokyo, so
Hmm.
that was also exciting to see some of that technology being sprinkled in over here.
I was super impressed, and we haven't got to ride it because we were there like 5 days before the AP pass holder, so we couldn't fly back. So I was like,
Mhm,
okay, we're not gonna ride it. But I've watched everyone's vlogs on it because there's so much detail in the queue alone, which is
mhm.
just unbelievable. Like we know that the ride is pretty much the same track, but it feels like a different experience. Like just from watching it, it feels like totally different.
I totally agree, and, like, if you went because you love Splash because you got splashed and you had a really big drop, you're gonna love it, it is the same ride track, but if you also just wanna hear some really good princess music and an incredible original song, it's just like cherries on top. That I have not stopped listening to the song.
What's the
Special
Special
Spice,
Spice? Yeah.
so good.
Disney is
It's
so
so
good
good.
at coming up with like those catchy songs. Like
Yeah.
yeah, I heard it before we saw the ride, right? I like
Mhm.
there was that documentary on YouTube. So I heard and I'm like, "Oh, this is okay. Like it's catch." And then when you see it with the ride, you're like, "This song fits perfectly."
Yeah. One of the really neat things was after Quincy and I finally got on it, because I don't know if you know about her trials.
Yes,
She
like 3
tried
times.
she like 3 times. Luckily, it was only my 2nd time, but once we finally were on it, we had gone down the drop and we both were like, "Oh, that was just so cool." And we're kinda sitting there for a second, and in front of us, there was a full log, and the guy turns around and he goes, "Well, what did you guys think?" And I didn't know who he was, but there were
Yeah.
women behind us in our log, and so I just assumed he was talking to them, I didn't think he was talking to us, and nobody really responded to him, and so I think Quincy finally was like, "Oh, it was really cool," and I was like, "Yeah, it was great." He goes, "I wrote the music, I wrote Special Spice,"
Oh,
and he was like, "And this
wow.
is my band, and we all just did," and so that was
So
really,
cool.
really cool, like, that I was very excited about that.
That's so cool. That like I saw that Quincy was on the ride when it was broken down and Mama Odie was actually there singing, dig a little deeper.
Jennifer Lewis.
And I was like, "Oh my lord, what? Like that
I
is magic." Because it
It was
sounded well, obviously it
amazing.
sounded exact, but like she's singing on her ride. Like what? It
I was so jealous of Quincy in that moment. I love Jennifer Lewis, and I kept bugging Quincy all day. I was like, "Do you think she'll be here? Do you think she'll be here?" And she was like, "I mean, maybe. I don't know. Like, I don't know if Jennifer Lewis is gonna be here." And so I was with Cassie from DFB, and we were in line, and I saw this woman getting in from the other side, and I looked at Cassie and I said, "That's Jennifer Lewis." I was like, "I'm 99% sure that's." And so I start blowing up Quincy's phone because she was off of the ride at that point because we started doing some separate rotations. And I was like, "You have to get videos of her on the drop. Like, you have to go find her." And so she got to hear her while she was singing. I was so jealous. It was such a good video, such a cool experience
yeah.
to
Was
hear Quincy talking about it.
was that at the media event?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I like that's something I've never seen. Like Disney's been pretty cool with inviting people to media events, but putting the camera on the front of the car and stuff like that was something I thought was kind of new, which was kind of cool as well.
Yeah, I was really excited. They did something similar for Tron,
Hmm.
but this time they let us use our own equipment, which
Yeah.
was, from a content perspective, very exciting.
Yes.
Um, and being able to, for that event, go through multiple times and really get every angle was super, super exciting. And I don't know if you feel this way, but sometimes, at least for my feelings, when I'm filming, say like Happily Ever After, I might not have the same reaction if I'm just watching it, no cameras, like, really taking in the
Yep.
moment, and so for them to do that on a personal, very selfish level, I was like, "Oh, this is awesome." I can just hit record, and then the rest of it, like, I can really see and react and, like, really get to enjoy it.
It's how you get a genuine reaction, right? Because you're not have to worry. Am I recording? Like people will notice during this. I check. I always look down to make sure it still says recording. Like
Yeah.
that's like the anxiety of a content creator. Is it recording? Is it picking up the sound? How's it going?
Yeah.
Um, so here's a question from another listener. Chaka, I believe, said, "How did tragic or magic start?"
That's one thing I cannot even claim the original basis of it. There was a TikTok trend a while ago, and it was this girl, and her name was, like, not as family friendly for it, but it was very funny, and she would do Dunkin'. Oh, so sorry. Take my trash out. She would do Dunkin' Donuts because
Yeah.
famously, Dunkin' is not, you never know. You can order the same thing 100
Isn't that
times,
the truth?
and it's probably not gonna be the same, and I love Dunkin',
Yeah.
but I can say that honestly, like, it's not always gonna be the same, and so, there was one day that I had just done it for, I think I'd sent it to my friends, and I ended up sending it to, I think, Cassie and Quincy, and they both were like, "You need to, like, this could be a fun thing, like, you're clearly having a fun time." And so we all were, like, workshopping names, and Quincy and I eventually settled on Magic or Tragic, and that has been my
Hmm.
one of my personal favorite things to ever come out of all ears, because seeing people get excited with me about our little daily coffees, it's like a little thing you can do every day that just makes the day better.
I've seen so many people post their coffee and put magic or tragic. Like,
I've loved it. It makes me feel really connected with people and gives us, like, a really fun jumping off point to start talking, but I also think it's given me some good coffee orders,
yeah.
so can't
Yeah,
complain.
because then it gives you places to try. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think you should
absolutely.
evolve it into Disney snacks.
I keep telling everyone that I've
Yeah.
had a few DMs that are like, "If I don't drink coffee, can I?" I'm like, "Anything. Tag me in anything you
Yeah.
wanna do." We've started doing it a handful of times in our restaurant reviews.
Hmm.
I love it. You don't have to drink coffee. Just let me know if it's good or not.
Yeah, I don't drink the coffee. I'm an energy drink guy, unfortunately for my body. But yeah, I love the idea of it. I think it's super cool, and it like that's what I think is really special about what you guys do in all years is you are bringing the community in, but then you respond. You guys respond to DMs. You respond when people put you on the story. That's how we started talking. So
Yeah,
I put stuff on the story that I'm watching because I like, to bring people like, hey, watch this. Like the one clip that you kept saying the accents, like three people was like, what episode is that? And I'm like, here's the link. Go watch it. It's the best
yeah,
one. But just stuff
yeah,
like that because I feel like the Disney community as a whole could be very positive. And
mhm,
working with other creators, I think, is super important for creators to keep, progressing and moving forward. I just saw, I think, on one of your stories, you guys were at the Disney Springs drone show, and Morrow was right next to you. And it's
yeah.
like for us as like viewers, two of our favorite vloggers, our worlds just collided, and it's like mind blown. How are your feelings on like collaborating with other creators or collaborating with fans?
With fans, at least, I'm so excited about it.
Hmm.
We, especially like you were talking about, like, sharing stories and interacting. For us, I know I can speak for the whole team. We are so excited that people care about what we do at all. So we're so excited to engage because without those people, we can't do what we get to do. We feel the support, we feel the love, and we just kind of want to give it back. And then collabing with creators is like a dream for us. I know that all of us are really excited about the prospect of that. You mentioned Paging Mr. Morrow. We love Nate. Like,
Yes.
especially as someone who, again, I'm in the world of content creation. I'm still fairly new to it, and seeing someone that I've been watching for years that I would watch before I came on my Disney trips was just it's really cool, and to like consider him a peer is something really exciting. So I know all of us we would love to collab at
Yeah.
any point, but I think it's so special about the Disney community that there are so many people that everybody can find their person.
Yeah.
There's somebody for everybody, and nobody's going to do it the exact same way. So there's so much room for creativity and just different feelings and just exciting things to be shared and made, you
Yeah,
know?
there's like categories to creation. Like you guys have fun
Mhm.
with the games, but you're always bringing knowledge to people. Morrow has kind of the same outlook, and that's kind of who
Mhm.
we tend to go towards. Where the people are like that are having fun, that are positive, but you're
Yeah.
getting info from them while you're like laughing, and you're still learning stuff. But yeah, we actually ran into Nate, our first vlog ever, Food and Wine
That's
Fest.
all.
We walked in to get a coffee for my wife,
Mhm.
and I said, that's Nate. And she said, no, it's not. I said, I'm telling you right now, I can see from the back. That's Nate. I walked up and I shook his hand. I said, listen, you're inspiring us. We're shooting our first vlog. And he actually was in our first vlog. Like, he
He's
was like,
so
can I be in
cool.
it? Can you record? I'm like, oh my gosh, you are the nicest dude in the world.
He really is. I have tried to play it cool around him, but literally that night at Disney Springs, I finally was like, "My husband and I love you." I was like, "I've been holding it. We really love what you make." But he's awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool. What do you think the most challenging part of being a content creator is?
I think honestly, it's putting yourself out there. It's being willing to say, I really care about this thing and I want to show people the thing I care about. At least from my perspective, I'm really bad about being like, well, nobody really cares what I have to say. And whether that's true or not, I'll never know if I don't try and,
Hmm.
have a little faith in yourself. That's one thing that I tell myself, like, in instances of being scared before a ride or trying things that I'm really nervous about, you can do anything for 60 seconds. You're capable of that. So it's just taking that 60 seconds and finding the courage to say, I care about this. I want to make it. I don't care what people think. That is incredibly, incredibly overwhelming and it stops a lot of people
Yeah.
from making what they want to make. And I think being able to find that in yourself and just having the anxiety or having the fear, but still doing it, I'd say that's incredibly hard.
Yeah, it's like the days that you don't want to do stuff end up maybe being your best vlogs. Like if you're like, I don't want to do that today, and you do
Yeah.
it, and you're like, wow, like maybe it was the feeling that I didn't care as much that made it better, or it's just crazy how like in terms of working out, my friend that I work out with always said the day you don't want to go to the gym is the day you're going to lift the most. It's just
Yeah,
how it works. Like
absolutely.
it's just getting your mindset right. And I think being a content creator is tough, especially in Disney World because there's so many of them. But I think what separates you guys obviously is the games, is the knowledge, is the variety. Like another thing you guys do are resort tours, and we absolutely
Mhm.
love that because if we travel now, we go well, all years like this, and this. Do you love doing the resort tours? Is it cool getting to stay everywhere and anywhere?
I love it. It's one of those things when Quincy started that's really Quincy's baby.
Hmm.
That's what she really owns. And when she started saying like, "Hey, do you want to come with me?" I was like, "Yes." Oh my gosh, because there's so many places. I know that you kind of mentioned this about the Polynesian, and I felt this about a lot of Disney resorts. Of like that'll be when I know I've made it, when I'm able to stay in that, the Grand Floridian or the Polynesian or whatever. And that was a really anytime I get to go with her, I'm like, this is so crazy. It's one of those little reminders of how special what we do is.
Yeah.
Because again, like I had never stayed in the Contemporary, and Cassie from DFB was staying there during the Tiana media event. And she was like, "Hey, do you want to come hang out? We can go to the pool." And so just even spending the day with her and like going into the rooms was a real pinch me moment.
So cool.
Because growing up, you're like, "Oh, I mean, it's so expensive. Like, who knows?" And it
Hmm.
is so expensive. I'm not in a place in my life where just for fun I can go stay in all these
Yeah.
places, but I'm in a really unique and special position that I get those opportunities. So those are still like really, really exciting for me.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like DVC points totally changed the game for us because luckily my cousin has them, or else I would have never
Mhm.
been able to stay at the Polynesian. Like
Yeah,
it, but when you get there, now it's hard for us to even want to go anywhere else. You know what I mean?
I
You're
know.
like you get a taste of it, and like we stayed at Port Orleans, which was nice,
Mhm.
but I'm like, it's not the
It's just
Poly.
different. I know, it's just different. Once you find your spot, I'm
Yeah.
that way. When we stayed at Riviera, I was like, "I'm a changed woman."
We're
Like,
staying there in
this is
July.
crazy. I loved it.
Yeah.
I could not speak more highly of it, but I still have my favorites, like French Quarter is one that I'm still like, "I love the French Quarter." Like, there's just little things to love about all of them.
Yeah.
So, as long as you know what you want, but it is hard to go back,
Yeah.
like,
I
after
mean,
you've done it that first time.
the closest thing like was like we stayed at the Poly, we've stayed at Saratoga, we're staying at the Riviera, which we know we're gonna love because we love Topolino's. Like it's our
Mhm.
favorite spot. So like we can just go up the elevator and get our favorite spot. Like
Yeah.
but we loved Coronado, which was I was shocked about because I was like, man, like we got it on like some AP discount deal, and I was like, it's like $198, whatever, book it.
Mhm.
And I was like, I love this resort,
Love it.
Toledo and
Yeah.
the Dahlia Lounge. I was like, this is amazing.
I love Coronado. That's one of my and my husband, the first time we ever came to Disney together, that's where we stayed. So I'm always gonna have that, like, special connection to it, but even just Three Bridges, that is weirdly one of the places I go the most in Disney World for
Really?
fun. I'm at Three Bridges all the time. I don't know what it is, just like a nice glass of sangria with a pretty view and corn dip, like,
Yeah.
that's all you need to make me happy.
Does
So,
your
Coronado's a great one.
does your husband love Disney as well? Is he like a Disney person?
He loves it now. Growing
Really?
up, he only came, I think, 1 time, maybe once or twice, and one of them was for, like, a baseball tournament at, World of Sports at ESPN, and so I kept after when we were still dating, I was like, "We could just do 1 Disney trip, and then I'll leave you alone,"
Yeah.
do that, and then by day 2, he was like, "Now, when do annual passes go back on sale?" And I
Wow.
knew I had
Yeah.
him.
That was like my wife. Like she was like, we started watching these vlogs and all, and she's like, "So do you think we should become annual pass holders?" And she twisted like, we're doing the because at first we were doing it was called Anyone Can Cook. That was the name of the
Yeah,
show, and we were just doing at home recipes. We were bringing the magic home and trying the
yeah.
cookbooks and seeing how it came out. And then I was like, well, I want to do food reviews. If we're gonna do food, we're gonna stick with the food. And then she's like, well, don't you think we should get the annual pass? And I'm like, I guess. And now on our 8th trip of this year, and I'm like, we have one for July, we have one for September, we have one for November. I'm like, I'm
Yep.
all in now.
Once you start, like, it's funny, you're either gonna love it or you'll hate it. My
Yeah.
dad, he's very sweet to us, but he has never been a Disney person. As much as we come, he still is just not about it. But my husband, like I said, the first time, he was sold. So, like, you're either home or you're not, and after that first time if you're hooked or not.
Yeah. And then we talked about this with a bunch of other people that we interviewed. Disney almost becomes like your personality. It becomes your style. It
Mhm.
becomes like right now I'm wearing a Taylor Swift shirt, but like usually I'll be wearing something Disney. Like my wardrobe is like Roosevelt's and Disney t-shirts and Disney hats and besides like my Sixers and Phillies stuff and Eagles stuff. And I'm like, man, I am like that guy now.
Yeah.
Like we went to a diner the other day and all of us were wearing Disney stuff and the waitress was like, "You guys just get back from Disney World?" I was like, "No, it's just our personality, I guess."
I know, I love it, and I know that, like, the Disney adult
Hmm.
phrase and kind of culture has, like, been deemed a little cringy on certain parts of the internet, but I stand firm. I'm like, if this is my personality, is like being kind to people, having a good time, and, embracing the fun side of life and having that connection with your family, that's fine by me. I know, there are worse things to make your personality, and I think it's a lot of fun,
And
makes life more fun.
it's funny, but it's just like any fandom, like
Yeah.
Star Wars lovers who are now, Disney, I guess old school Star Wars lovers don't like the Disney stuff, but they dress up, you
Yeah.
know. I'm a fan of the Eagles. There's dudes, shirtless in 20-degree weather painting their stomach for what they love. Why isn't that like cringe? Like, you know what I mean? Like I never
Mhm.
get the hate that Disney adults get because
Yeah.
it's not cringy. We just like to go have fun. I love theme parks. I love restaurants. I love having drinks, and I like seeing my wife happy. So
Yeah,
that's
exactly. It's
yeah,
just a place you wanna go at the end of
yeah,
the day, like, it's just a place that makes you feel good, and everybody deserves to have that, and I think it's just the reason it gets that kind of online chatter is just because there's so many of it.
yeah,
It's so visible,
yep,
you know? But I love it, and I
yeah,
think if there are many worse things to be in the world.
exactly. Everywhere you look, you'll see something. Like anywhere you're at, you'll see something Disney. Someone
Yeah.
has a Disney tattoo, a Disney shirt. Like, even like Gucci has the Mickey Mouse bag, and like everywhere you look, there is Disney.
Yeah, even on my honeymoon, we went to Palm Springs, and the first night there, we were at, this really nice restaurant, and there was a massive painting, and it was like a skull with a Disney hat on. And this wasn't like a Disney restaurant. We weren't, it was just the Mickey ears, but it's like a nice little invisible string through all of life.
Yeah, I always say Mickey Mouse is the most recognizable character in the history of the world.
Yeah,
Anybody from any culture, from any country, you show them the picture and they go, "That's Mickey Mouse," and
yeah.
which is crazy to think.
It is. It really, and that's like even going to Tokyo, like we
Mhm.
didn't speak the same language, but we all were there for a common love and interest, and that's really special. And there's not many things that can connect you like that.
Yeah. So TJ has a question. As someone who goes to theme parks most days, how do you maintain the idea of we get to do this rather than I have to do this for work?
I would love to say I'm great at it. But, there are those days, especially the summertime. I tell Quincy, I'm like, "I'm a different girl in the summer, and I'm so sorry, but once August is over, like, I am back." But I think it's having those moments of watching families who are there for the first time and having that experience, or watching families that are there for the 100th time, but they're there with their grandparents or they're
Yes.
there with their kids who have never been. It's seeing those experiences and realizing out of everything that's happening around you, it is such a privilege to be here
Hmm.
and to get to do these things. There are some people who are in Disney, like for instance, I tell myself a lot today. I was like, there are people who are here for the first time and there are people who are here for the last time.
Yep.
And they don't know, if it is their last time. So you just need to embrace it and be excited about it. And I think it's having that constant reminder of it is very hot, but out of all the places to be in the world, this is not a bad place to
Yeah.
be, you know?
That's such a refreshing outlook. It really is to think like it's so unselfish, right? Because I feel like a lot of people when they go to Disney, they want to do what they want to do, what they want to do, when they want to do it. And, you know, obviously it's a angst driven place. There's 80,000 people trying to do the same thing that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But like that, like the whole interview, you've really have taken a step back and said, hey, look at the families and, look at these kids that are here enjoying it and the smiles on their faces. And I think that gets lost a lot with people. And I think that's All Ears does a great job of doing it because you always are like, all right, just go with the flow during the vlog. And then you tell us, okay, this day is not going as planned.
Mhm.
But if you do this, you can fix like you still give tips, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's very important for people who are watching, who are trying to get info to gather is you're never going to have the perfect Disney day.
No. And one thing I think this team has really taught me, and I really learned in this experience, is there is always something to be learned.
Hmm.
You could be having the worst day of your life, and there is a takeaway somewhere in that. And luckily for us, our bad days are still at Disney World,
Yep.
And so there's a lot to be said about that that you can take away from like, okay, well, we got in this line and the ride was down for 3 hours. I've wasted 3 hours today, but if I can save someone 3 hours when they come
Yep.
on their trip that they've been waiting years for, that's worth the 3 hours I lost.
Exactly. That's yeah, definitely how you should look at it, especially as a
Yeah.
content creator standpoint. Like even bad days can be good info and turn into a good vlog to make for someone so they don't experience that. So we're down to the end here, but I wanted to ask you something. As someone you're an avid reader, you said you love
Mhm.
reading, you love writing. You were writing before you got to be on the camera for All
Mhm.
Ears. What do you prefer? The camera
Reading.
or
Oh,
writing?
that's that's actually really hard. I don't know if I've ever thought about that. I love the on-camera opportunities are just you'll never beat that. And getting to connect with people in that way is what you hope you can do through writing. It's a lot easier of a medium. It's a lot that was very southern medium.
Medium.
It's a lot easier medium to connect with people. But I also think writing can be so intimate and so special. I think I have a really deep love for writing because I've been doing it for so
Yeah.
long, and a lot of my education was in writing, and in media. But I think I'd have to say if I have to say something, I would say probably writing,
Yeah.
just because it feels so special and so centric, and, I would say writing, I think. That's a
I
great
feel like
question.
most readers would say writing
Yeah,
because like everyone's always like the book's better than the movie. Me,
always.
I'm not a reader. The movie's always better because I don't have to read.
Yeah,
My ADD will look away and go, oh nope, don't know where I'm at on this book. Like I need to see it visually. I have a pretty good imagination. I have a creative mind, but it's just
yeah.
I connect more through seeing the emotion than reading the emotion.
Exactly. That's why I think, like I said, like media is it's much more attainable. Like
Hmm.
we all have something we can find in that. Um, That's a great question, though. That's really hard to answer, actually.
I think they both have their plus and minuses most likely.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
you connect with people probably faster through video, but
Mhm.
someone reading your words is probably also pretty cool too.
Yeah. Honestly, one thing I've never thought about this until right now, but the kids who can't read quite yet,
Hmm.
but they know that they love Mickey and they wanna watch and have a good time, that is special. I really
Yeah.
love that experience.
Yeah, I have a 10-year-old after this interview who wants to run in and say hi to you because you're like the
Please.
TV star. So,
Oh, please.
so this isn't a question from SJB. This is one of our listener statements. Tell Emma that the scene at Animal Kingdom when the little girl recognizes her and literally runs up to meet her is the sweetest thing I've ever seen. And I have no doubt Emma was as kind and gracious to that girl as she could be. I'm sure it made that girl's trip. So that kind of
I Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
that sums up what we've been talking about this whole time is how gracious the All Ears crew is.
Thank you. That honestly, that instance I'll never forget. As soon as I turned around and started talking to her, she was like, "You guys have always said to come say hi, so I wanted to come say hi." And that was one of those moments of like, I never wanna stop telling people, "Please come say
Yep.
hello to us every single day." It is one thing that I hope none of us ever lose sight of or, don't acknowledge is there are very few professions in the world where people tell you what it means to them, what you create. There's a lot of people who work like my mom's a teacher, my dad's a teacher, and you don't always get that. You don't always get somebody telling you every single day what you do meant something to me or we love what you do, even though they should.
Yep.
And so I think moments like that, I'm like, this is so special and so rare, and I hope I never lose sight of that.
I don't think you guys will. Talking to the
I hope not.
three of you guys so far, you all had the gracious answer with that. Please come up to us, and it's true. I mean, if you're filming, I feel like I couldn't come up and be like, "Hey Emma, I'm Anthony." Like I'd feel like, "Oh no, I'm gonna ruin her vlog." But you guys always seem so welcoming. Please come say
We
hi.
tell people, "Cut us off."
Yeah,
It's never we might not get to talk again, but we can film that 100 times,
yeah,
So please come do it.
that's unbelievable. All right, so at the end of every interview, we do a Disney quick shot. So you have to say the first thing that comes to your mind with a Disney question. Best
Okay.
park,
Hollywood Studios,
best restaurant,
Topolino's,
agreed. Best movie.
Cinderella live action.
Wow.
I know most people would not agree with that, but that is
It's
my
good. I
life
like it.
movie.
We
I
got the
love
Hunchback
that
of Notre
movie.
Dame a lot during that question so far on this series, like
Ooh,
4 times. I'm like, I had to go back and rewatch it because I'm like, did I
it's
miss
so
something? But
good.
it's so good.
It is so good.
Best ride.
Cosmic Rewind.
A thing that you like that most people hate.
Oh my gosh. I don't know why this is the first thing in my head. I don't really love it. Liquid Layer. That is
Mm,
the first thing in my mind. Maybe just Team Liquid Layer, I
yeah.
guess.
Mine was turkey leg.
That's fair.
Turkey leg. But I want to thank you so much for hanging out and joining us. It's been amazing chatting with you. And we only got the Southern accent a couple times.
I know it. I can normally hone it in pretty
Do you
well.
have to like kind of like push it down sometimes?
Sometimes I'm not so bad about it now, but when I first started, it was a really conscious effort.
Really? I like the Southern accent. I think you should bring it out more. Um, but thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for what you do and, making people feel special and feel magical and, how you relate through them with their vlogs. It really does mean a lot to the community, to the listeners, and to the fans. So thank you. Where can they find you if they haven't followed you on Instagram?
If y'all haven't found me, I keep it pretty simple. All ears Emma on Instagram, and then of course, all ears everywhere else.
Yep. Make sure you follow, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and show Emma some love. And if you guys are new to our channel, welcome. Please hit the like, comment, subscribe as well. We'll be doing more Creators Corner in the future. But Emma, thank you so much,
Thank
and we will see you
you.
guys next time on Creators Corner.